Hello and welcome to another Spectrum Geeks video. My name is Dale, and in today's video we're talking about my solar and battery stats for July 2024. So thanks for tuning into this video. Hopefully you're surviving this mega hot and humid day. I do have a little desk fan on here, so hopefully it doesn't interact with the sound quality too much, but I'm dying as it is with my shiny baldness. So as usual, I'm going to kind of go over my solar stats for my 5.22 kilowatt solar array here in Worcestershire in the UK. Just a quick refresher, it is 5.22 kilowatt solar array. It's around 12 panels on a integrated roof solution with a 5 kilowatt hour hybrid GivEnergy inverter. Connected to that I have two of the 9.5, is it? My brain's failing now. 9.5 kilowatt hour batteries for obviously energy storage. Also have a Tesla Powerwall 2. In addition to that, I also have a MyEnergi Eddy that I use for heating hot water. MyEnergi Zappy, which I normally use for charging electric vehicles. However, I'm having the house rendered at the moment, so I've taken it off for half the month and been using my temporary Ohmi charger as well. So I've got a few more bits and bobs in there, but that's a bit of background to help you compare your system to mine. I'm always interested to understand how your system has performed for the similar month in the area you're in as well. So please leave a comment down below how your system performed and whereabouts you're based to try and get an idea of kind of comparison. So let's kick off looking at the GivEnergy chart. So you can see here for July the system generated 570.75 kilowatt hours of solar energy. 384.13 kilowatt hours of energy went into the house. Now when it goes into house, that could be obviously to just power the house, it could be for charging electric vehicles, it could be for charging up the Tesla Powerwall, but not obviously the GivEnergy products. Then in terms of energy that went into charging the GivEnergy batteries, 97.20 kilowatt hours of energy went into those battery storage, and 89.42 kilowatt hours of energy went back to the grid. So we are on the export tariff with Octopus, so we do get paid for what we export now at 15 pence per kilowatt. So we're going to that in a little bit in a moment. Right down the bottom here, in terms of the GivEnergy battery, we can see that we had 350.58 kilowatt hours of energy that went from the batteries into powering the house. 346.69 specific to the house, and a little bit every now and then does get exported back to the grid just for balancing, so 3.89 kilowatt hours. And as far as the GivEnergy setup is concerned, 774.27 kilowatt hours of energy got pulled from the grid. Again, 540 of that into the house, and then just over 234 into the batteries. In terms of solar, so the best day we had for solar was actually Thursday the 18th, 29.78 kilowatt hours of energy on that day, and actually the worst day was on the 20th, which only 0.3 kilowatt hours of energy generated. It must have been a really rubbish day on the 20th. I can't really remember it that much. In terms of house generation, our highest day of consumption was on the 10th, 75.71 kilowatt hours of energy. So must have charged the cars up on that day. And the lowest, also on the day we had the worst generation actually, was on the 20th again, only 4.28 kilowatt hours of energy consumed there. Now I think about it, actually on the 20th, that must have been a weekend. Yeah, that makes sense actually. I had all the power off in the house to have some additional work done on the electrical circuits of the extension of the house, so that explains actually why the 20th is a bit of a curveball random thing that actually doesn't help in terms of this month's stats. In terms of battery usage, again, highest use of batteries was on Tuesday the 16th at 20.24 kilowatt hours of energy drawn from the batteries. Again, the lowest one, we'll just ignore that That's in terms of charging actually. And then the 8th of July had massive, or the biggest discharge from the GivEnergy batteries at 24.01 kilowatt hours of energy coming out of that into the house and other things. So one thing that I'll go into this in more detail in another video. I nearly feel like I'm at the point where I can talk about it. Is there are some occasions where the GivEnergy batteries and the Tesla Powerwall 2 kind of not fight with each other, but they discharge and charge each other, which does decrease the efficiencies a little bit. So I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. But every now and then I do have this situation. Normally when the car is being charged, once the peak rate kicks in again, it will, for some reason, discharge the Powerwall a little bit into the car, and then the GivEnergy batteries will discharge themselves back into the Powerwall till that's 100%, and then start up some charging again. But again, we'll talk about that in a different video dedicated to that. So in terms of how some of that rest of the energy was used, so as we looked at the GivEnergy Stats specifically, for the Powerwall we did get 63.1 kilowatt hours of energy out of the Powerwall in July. In terms of car charging, 215.9 kilowatt hours of energy came out of the Zappi into the cars. I don't have the breakdown of what was grid or green because the Zappi is disconnected at the moment, and as I've moaned many times, it's not available in the app. And then the Ohmi charger, which we've been using for a few weeks, is 158.7 kilowatt hours of energy came out of that for car charging. In terms of the Eddy, we had a total of 210.5 kilowatt hours of heating hot water, and 62 kilowatt hours of that was from solar. And then in terms of my electricity bill for July, it's actually, I think it's something like 6th of July to the 6th of August or something, so it doesn't fully equate to the stats that we see from the solar equipment. But my total bill was £80.50. Separate to that, I did have a credit of I think about £15 from export. And so 848.3 of my grid pool was all off peak, with only 10.2 kilowatt hours of energy consumed during peak time. And this is generally just for there's few fluctuations that happen every now and then, you know, when it takes a few milliseconds for batteries kick in, and also just general grid balancing. So 10 kilowatts at peak for the whole month isn't too bad, and that meant my average unit price was 6.84 pence per kilowatt hour. So in terms of the payback, one thing I'd realised in previous videos, I was not factoring in obviously the benefit of having the batteries in the payback. So right now, my kind of current estimate based on today's pricing is around 7 years for the payback of the solar and the batteries there. So if we look at the July stuff again just very quickly, so we generated 570.75 kilowatt hours of energy. 481.33 was actually what was consumed, so that is a saving of £109.77 that we would have had to pull from the grid during peak times had we not had solar. In terms of exporting, we exported 89.42 kilowatt hours of energy back to the grid, which we get paid £13.41 for. Then in terms of energy that we get from the grid but put in the batteries, so again charging off peak to use during peak time, so basically getting peak tariff in the evening, basically the savings and the benefit of that saved us £37.02 for the month, which means a total benefit into kind of the solar battery payback calculator that I have would mean that £160.20 went back kind of into paying back the system, which again we'll see how it's been after a full year, but that's my current estimate, is it'll be about 7 years to pay back this system, assuming we don't have any massive hikes in prices again. That's why my old system that paid for itself in about just slightly over 5 years, like 5 years 1 month or something. That's when we had those massive ridiculous energy prices go up again, and obviously energy prices are actually reasonably sensible-ish again at the moment. I have tried to do some kind of comparisons to my old system in terms of usage and things, but it's not really an apples to apples comparison. And also, as I'm hopefully by the time I move into winter, I'll be almost completely off gas, and just moved to air and infrared panels for heating over the winter. So we'll have to see kind of what the energy usage is like. And even like I said, right now the Powerwall's not really getting much usage on a day-to-day basis, but I see that changing in the winter. So as I've mentioned in videos dedicated to battery stuff in the past, you really have to factor in for the winter energy usage, not the summer, because obviously in the summer you've got loads of solar generation opportunities. In the winter, where you have the darker days, that you need to rely more on that battery storage. So I'm hoping with the 2 GivEnergies and the Tesla Powerwall 2, that will be sufficient to meet majority of our off-peak needs during the winter time. So thanks so much for watching. If you haven't done already, please consider subscribing, leave a thumbs up. Also, if you're looking to change energy provider, again, really happy with Octopus Energy. So if you decide to sign up through the link down in the description, you'll get £50 credit to your bill, as will I. And if you've got any other questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. I do read them all, and I will come back to you. Until the next video, take care of yourself. Goodbye for now.